welcome to yet another edition of this week's Tim Talks. I'm so happy that you decided to spend just a few minutes of your day, as we always say, to get better together. I am joined today by my friend, Troy Spring. I had the privilege of meeting Troy. I saw him actually a couple years ago. I think it was at IDS in Colorado. You, myself, and Dan Moore shared a beautiful, I think it was a steak dinner at one of those nice restaurants out in Colorado, but got to meet Troy there. We have multiple shared clients together, and he is the founder and I think I'm saying this right, the founder and CEO, president. His apartment smells of mahogany and old books. And, he's kind of a big deal. So Troy Spring, founder of Dealer World. Troy Spring, welcome to Tim Talks. Thank you so much for joining us this week.
Tim, I've never had such an introduction. I think.
I don't know how to tell you this, but
yeah, I'm blushing already, man. That was awesome. But really, I'm chief cook and bottle washer, like I said. In the daily grind every day, just trying to help dealers sell more cars. That's really my title. Absolutely. So anyways, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, man.
Man, just so happy to have you on. And, as we say, we've got multiple dealer partners together that we try to serve.
Correct.
And just wanted to touch base with you before we even dive into, ROI and what's working in dealerships. Because, listen, ladies and gentlemen, we've had multiple people on. There's a theme that we've had with Tim Talks as far as engaging and serving your customers. Serving your customers, not chasing. But before we get into that, I want listeners, if you don't know who Troy Spring is, the most important thing with any company is that you have a relationship with that company and that you understand the core values and the culture of that company. So Troy, tell me your car story. Tell me, a little bit of back history and how you started Dealer World.
Yeah, so the real backstory of the car history is I started selling cars when I was 18. So 34 years later, here I am being interviewed by you. Who knew? That's pretty awesome. Yeah. Throughout most of my career in retail, I did the normal ascent: sales manager, F&I, general manager. Height of my retail career, I managed 4 stores for a group that had 11. So really got a lot of experience there internally with financial statements and just the overall inner workings of dealerships, at that level of retail. Then 08-09 hit, in that economic downturn. I think most people know my story, so I keep that one pretty brief. That hit me pretty dang hard. So I ended up with really nothing in January through April of 2009. Not proud of that one, but it was, man, that economic downturn was crazy for me.
Yeah.
Just went through a lot of stuff. So anyways, I started Dealer World in January 9th, 2009, with the intent that back then we were really just a direct mail company. I had sold direct mail for years and I was good at it. I knew how to make it work. I knew how to drive traffic. I knew how to get ROI. So I really felt at that time dealers needed to make sure whatever they spent their money on back in those days of 2009, that there was a return on investment there. So we worked really hard at coming up with some campaigns that worked incredibly well. Thank goodness for me. That was the early days in the start of Dealer World. And so from there, we grew out. And about 8 years ago, I got the chance to become the full service ad agency for a client down in Virginia. I basically just told them, hey, look, I know how to drive traffic. I know how to do this. When I managed stores, it was what I loved doing the best, was driving traffic. So got that opportunity. And now here we sit. All 8 years later, we're running with about 60 stores across the country. We could have grown a lot faster, but I think you brought up something that's really important to us, which is relationship. We've got pretty deep and meaningful relationships. I know it sounds warm and fuzzy, but we've got really strong relationships with our clients, and our dealer partners. Last year, we even shut down sales, just to tell you a little bit about me. Like when I brought Hunter Swift on, it was the first time we really went kind of hardcore at having a VP of sales and being across the country, with him being in LA and me being about an hour above Philadelphia. So when he got on a roll, man, he brought on a bunch of business, and I just shut it down because I was afraid that we were going to lose sight of, onboarding our clients properly and the relationships that got us to where we were. And, thankfully I found out pretty quick, Hunter's got a good heart. He understood what I did. And, now here we sit, again, getting interviewed by you, but that's our mantra here really is to know a lot about me is we find dealers that need help and we help them. We really try not to go out with a sales mentality at all. It's just, hey, if you need help, we got a pretty wide scope of agreement. We know what, we have a pretty wide ability to find what you may need. Being flat fee doesn't really matter what they spend their money on. So it's really about results, based help and consulting. And that's really my story, man, from 18 years old to here. That's just been in the car business pretty much the whole time.
In typical car guy fashion, as you stand around, as we used to on the lot, waiting for ups to come in, 30 years ago, I have to one up you. But although
I had pneumonia, you had double pneumonia.
I had double pneumonia. I run a 440, all that stuff, the car guy stuff and girl stuff we talk about. But I started when I was 17. Okay, just so you know. But that was 1989. So based on what you just said, you told me your age. So I think you started a little before that.
87.
87. So you've been actually doing it longer than I have. So that's
I want to you too, buddy.
Absolutely. Very, very impressive. Hey, let's dive into this. Again, as this gets shared and reshared to dealers across the country, you've got a couple sayings that I've heard.
I've gotten known for a couple.
You're known for a couple, but let's talk about the Saturday morning test. Viewers listening, Donovan, brother, thank you so much for joining again. Brian, Colleen, I'll miss people, but James, Big James, thank you for Klaus, thank you for tuning in. Regulars, yeah, I know, man. Hello. So I actually just got off the phone with Sean Stapleton. So that Sean is going to be another guest. Maybe we can get this might be crazy because I'm chasing rabbits, OCD, ADD, and all the other acronyms. Maybe we get James and Sean on at the same time. But we'll talk about that.
Wow, that is chasing rabbits. You need a bigger screen for that.
Let's dive into the Saturday morning test. So what does it mean, Troy, when you talk about the Saturday morning test?
Well, all the way back to those direct mail days even, because I really came from a direct results orientated background, right? When dealers were buying direct mail from me in the early days, it was pretty simple. It had to work, right? There was no branding to that. It wasn't like, hey, you spent $12,000, $15,000 and let's stand around and hope people show up. I mean, it had to work. So, really what I did was I took that same philosophy throughout everything that we do inside a dealer world, whether or not it's it's a billboard or it's radio, television, whether or not it's a newspaper ad, because yes, we still do newspaper ads, or anything digital, Google, Facebook, all that. My team is trained on this Saturday morning test that you talk about and bring up, and I find that interesting. Thanks for bringing it up. It's a kind of a core value here. Look, if what we do as creative and that we're putting out in the marketplace doesn't pass this Saturday morning test, I ask my team, to reevaluate it and to rework it. And all it means is on some Saturday morning, there's a husband standing around asking his wife, hey, I know we're ready to go and look at new Escapes or look at new cars or, RAV4s, whatever model it is. And they say, hey, where should we go? I know we're going to get up this morning and go out and look at cars, or we're going to hop online and look at cars online. Who should we Google? Who should we drive to? Who should we check out? And what we want to do is we want to pass that Saturday morning test of having that spouse or, whoever that conversation's going through to say, I think we ought to go check out XYZ dealer because, right? If there's not a because, you don't really have a strong enough, hook, value proposition, value equation for the consumer to say, I need to go check out this dealership because. And so all of our employees and anybody working on accounts know that if I'm looking at the creative for something that we've produced for one of our clients, I'm point blank going to look for that and then ask them to defend if they think it's strong enough, right? I mean, at the end of the day, hey, honey, where are we going to go look for a car? I want to be top of mind and I want it to be a reason and I want it to be a hook so that dealership gets the first shot at talking to that customer. Again, whether or not it's online or, brick and mortar.
And that's a brilliant lead in to what you and I were talking about before we went live is branding. And I think we've got several dealer groups that have just done a incredible job.
Yeah.
And we've got a couple shared, but incredible job of branding the experience. And it's redundant here. We've talked about it the last probably 5 or 6 weeks, experience. But I just want you to reiterate, your definition of branding. And when you talk about, branding's not, this type of branding is not important. What do you mean this type of branding is not important? What dealers want to shy away from? That unfortunately on all those ads that I see, someday, all those ads that come out on the cable, they use that. So I don't want to steal your thunder. So you tell us what your idea of bad branding is.
All right, so this is going to probably be a 2 or 3 part answer. My apologies, but I want to make sure I get it right and we go deep enough. Okay, as you always say, unpack it a little bit, right?
Right.
So number one, I have a theory, just like they say, all bourbons aren't whiskeys, all whiskeys aren't bourbons, but all bourbons are whiskeys, right? I don't know if you ever heard that saying before, but it's a good one because I always say, all branding, ads, don't actually sell, but all selling and event style ads do brand, if that makes any sense. So I'm really a big fan, again, going back to my old days of direct mail, of having a very kind of hard-hitting event style driven message. And I know that these days, everybody talks about how, we've got to kind of get away from that a little bit. And we've got to just brand. My point to that is if I'm constantly, and it's got to be a good message. It just can't be cheesy, like you said, Sunday, and starburst and things. But if there's a message to that, again, going back to the Saturday morning test, if there's a message in it that maybe hits a strong, good trade hook with a storyline and a bit of a narrative that has Mrs. Buggins say, hey, Mr. Buggins, husband, let's go down and check that out because, it sounds to me like they're going to give us a lot of money for our trade. And I know that we owe a bit on it, right? That's that narrative that I'm talking about on an event style, marketing plan. If it's a subprime store, the obvious is credit. Sometimes it's low payment. There's some lease payments out there that are insane. Last year, we ran $17 a month on a Kia Forte. It's event style driven marketing. And my point to that is it does brand. It brands the store that there's something going on at the store, that they're always trying to sell me a car, that they're always doing something interesting to try to sweeten the pot, make the deal better. And sometimes if you're a store and you get known for that, the interesting part is maybe you ran those ads 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 weeks in a row. The customer wakes up one morning, doesn't hear your ad, but thinks, hey, there's always something going on down at XYZ store. Let me go check that out. Right. I remember hearing about the low payment. I remember hearing about the trade-in value. I remember hearing about these things. And so, we find that the dealers that are still pretty committed to that are doing a heck of a job with it because consumers want to believe on that stickiness and they'll go check that out. That's part of that Saturday morning test. That's part one. Now, to your point, and what a lot of the market's doing, and we're having a lot of success, again, with some of our shared clients, is going down that road of saying, hey, we're going to brand us a store that has something going on that's maybe, beyond just event style marketing. So as long as that branding's pushing towards, some sort of end, again, narrative story, such as, your way, buy your car your way, trade your car away, finance your way, do it your way, buy your way, online, offline, doesn't matter. We're here for you. And I get to that website and I find that there's a portal, hypothetically into buy now as an example. And that's part of that brand story and part of where we're driving that customer, part of maybe where that click goes and lands them properly to a converting page. Then I'm fine with branding that way. Right? Because again, we're branding towards starting a conversation, which I think we should get to in a minute. We're branding towards starting a conversation with a customer and pushing them down the funnel of actually becoming a prospect for us, not a suspect, right? They're not out there, heard my branding story and didn't respond, didn't follow a path, didn't click, didn't become a lead. So the third part to this would be, I would just tell dealers, look, if you're not focused on making sure that you're going to get something out of the branding message or the event style marketing, just be careful. Listen to those ads. Listen to the ad and ask yourself, am I inspired to take action? Hey, we've been in business 100 years and we're really good guys. And we got new Ford Escapes for, $274 a month because they don't want to run a lease and they don't want to do a whole lot of money down. And so they're running like 5.9 at 84 months. We see that. I know some dealers are listening to this going, not possible, doesn't happen, but we see it every day. And if you're running those ads, you're going to land in the middle of nowhere. No one's going to respond. So it's either got to be really hard hitting, driving creative that I do think brands you as a store that's always got something going on. You've got to have maybe a story brand that says, hey, we're fresh, we're relevant, we're new, the world's changing, so are we. So come to our website, you can do business your way, which again is a good branding story because we're pushing traffic to the site. But I think dealers, we still see it every single day. You got to get away from having a branding story that doesn't drive any kind of immediate reaction, right? Any kind of immediate lead.
Yeah, and speaking of that, that leads into another thing that I want to talk about. I heard you talk, I think it might have been an IDS or something else about, you have a lead gen strategy. And that lead gen strategy obviously could differ per dealership, but talk to the new marketing manager, talk to the new, digital manager at that single point store that just got promoted to that position. Talk to them about, because we're here to help, as many people as possible. And that's why we created TIMTALKS.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, talk to that person that is from a country town like I'm from, and they just got promoted and they're in the chair. You talk about, and I've heard you talk about, which I loved, you have a specific lead gen strategy. Will you, explain that to somebody that might be sitting in that chair for the first time? What should they be looking at? They're fresh to the desk, and where we go. So yeah. What is that? What do you mean by that?
Yeah. So, again, just some of the things that we do around here training wise with our performance managers and people working on accounts is if they're creating an ad, we look at the 5 conversational conversions. Excuse me. Those conversational conversions are pretty simple. It's either a walk-in, which, let's face it, that's the best one, right? I finally made it to the store. Hi, Tim, how are you? I'm here to look at the new whatever, right? Best kind of traffic we could possibly hope for in the world. And we get a little less of it now, right? Because the rest of it's digital. So, the other 4 parts, conversational conversions you could get are a web lead of any sort that comes through like an email, right? The next one would be a chat, which you're very well familiar with. Next one would be a text of sorts, and one would be a phone call. So let's just reiterate that again for that new marketing manager that you're asking me to speak to, so to speak. Everything that you do should be trying to drive a conversation with a customer. And then trying to drive a conversation.
Nothing happens until you have a conversation. You can't
hop in. You can't be, look, I always say you can't be proactive.
Preach. Absolutely. Yeah.
If I don't have a conversation started and that customer hasn't engaged with me at some level, then again, they're kind of out there as a suspect. They've heard my ad, they've seen my stuff, maybe they clicked something, they're on the website, but I've not done enough to engage them into a conversation. So as an agency, we feel it's our job, our responsibility, and I demand it from our people that the things that we're doing start a conversation with a client. I don't care. Look, there's ways to start a conversation with a text, platform. There's ways to start conversations with chat. There's ways to start conversations by driving a click to call. And we can track all of these things too, which is beautiful. So, really at the highest level, I think at any agency that anybody ever talks to, or if you're an internal marketing manager that doesn't have an agency, concentrate on starting more conversations with prospective clients in any way, shape, or form. And if you do that, you're going to see, because those are leads, right? I mean, we're calling them conversational conversions. At the end of the day, as soon as I get engagement, we put it in the lead bucket, right? So we start more conversations, we focus on that, lead counts go up, and then all of a sudden, magically, you sell more cars. Because I have a theory here. I have a theory that the guys that have been doing this for as long as we have, like we said, since '87, right? What happens if I'm on the showroom floor, somebody walks through the door or somebody engages me, I get them on the phone, and I finally have a chance to talk to them? Natural evolution of car sales takes over. You probably have a guy sitting in that seat that's pretty darn good when something flies by his face, closing down that deal. And that's why closing ratios are so high right now. We still have a very strong presence, I think, of true car guys sitting in the right seat that can close deals, right?
Yep.
But at the end of the day, I think there's a lot of people missing the boat, that not as many people are walking through the door. So we've got to start conversations a different way. And then I think it's extremely important that those guys that are sitting in those seats and the guys sitting above them are connecting those dots. So if we're driving all these conversations, and maybe they're text, maybe they're Facebook private messenger, maybe they're on, buy now and they're just down the funnel and they became a lead. Maybe it's a click to call. It doesn't really matter. But we've got to connect all of those leads a little faster, I think, to these guys, that as soon as it's in their grasp and it's in their hands, that they convert, and they convert at a high level. We see a lot of times, Tim, and again, I want to be very careful, but we see a lot of times where those leads are just funneled in and they're going to who I call, no offense to anybody, Bobby and Susie, right? And Bobby and Susie have never sold a car in their entire life. They get a lead. Lead says, hey, how much are you going to give me for my 2017 Silverado with 14,000 miles on it? And they go, maybe they don't have the proper talk track. Maybe they can't handle that objection very well. Maybe the guy on the other end of the phone says, listen, if you don't tell me it's worth $39,500, I'm hanging up, and they don't handle it really all that properly. I think there's got to be another movement, and this is a little bit philosophical on my part, but I'd like to see a movement to really engage all of those leads that are being driven by you guys, us, some other really talented agencies throughout the country, driving all those leads. I want to see more engagement at that level where we're connecting those people with those really high level talented guys that can close those deals. And and the stores that we have that are doing the best, I got to tell you, they do that very well.
And they probably do that very well. We're going to get real. And I said before, I'm country. So sometimes my dad always said, son, you got to throw the feed where the chickens can get it. So we're just going to get real here for just a second.
Yes, sir.
Let's just be totally honest. You boil all the water out of the pot. What do you got left? Okay.
Yep.
The dealerships that have, listen, coming close, listen, the dealerships that have leadership, whether that's sale, and it starts on the desk. Listen, don't miss it. If every desk manager would treat that chat, that text, that phone call, what do we say? We said it for years. Just get them in. Just get them. If we would treat them the same way, if not better, than the person, not better, you understand, better than the person sitting in the showroom, we would not have to worry about 20 cars on the last day of the month to hit our objective. If you treat it every day like I'm just telling you, look, we always talk about this is the grocery store. We're going to give you meat. We're going to give you meat and potatoes that you can go home and cook groceries right now. Listen to me. If you are that desk manager, if you are that salesperson, I'm going to tell you how to blow your income out of the water for the rest of 2021 or 2020 and next to 2021 and for the rest of your life. Exactly what Troy said. But you take and you treat that customer, because listen, at my Lexus store, we would have roughly, and I've said it before, you guys probably know it by heart, 500 to 600 people physically coming into the dealership, but we'd have 18,000, depending on the campaign Carrie was running, 18,000 to 21,000 unique visitors on my website. Much more opportunity. We could stop there. We could call an altar call. Just come home right now. I'm telling you, if we would have sales managers and leadership believe in communicating that way, giving them an experience, giving a customer what they want, and treat them exactly like you treat them or better to get them in, we would never, ever, ever have to worry about the end of the month and, oh my gosh, need 20 cars. So I love, Troy, that one thing, and it's almost like we rehearsed this. We did talk, full disclosure, we talked for about 3 or 4 minutes before this. Yeah. But the fact that one's flowing into the other, I love. So come in close as we land this plane. The cool thing, yeah, here we go. I want to talk about Andy Wright for a minute. Now, Andy Wright has been our client for about 5 years. Yep. Andy has become a friend, and I really believe we should.
He's an easy guy to become friends with. He's a good dude.
He's an amazing person.
Yeah, so he's awesome.
That being said, our relationship started out 5 years ago by him calling me. I'll never forget it. I was on vacation in Florida. I don't know how, we might have had 50 dealers at the time. I don't even know. I answered the call immediately. He said, hey, listen, I was using this other provider. They were showing me more leads. We got to do something. So we unpacked it. We found out that the other provider was calling things leads that weren't leads. We had some lead routing issues. So long story short, we fixed it, ended up showing an increase, and we've been, he's helped us think through a lot of things. That being said,
he speaks highly of you, that's for sure.
Well, that's good. That's good. He's an amazing human, one of the greatest car guys I know, and quite frankly, just an amazing human being. That being said,
I would agree on all those fronts.
We took his CTAs. It all goes back, ladies and gentlemen, all goes back to the conversation. And we hate to simplify it as much as everything that Troy has said. It all goes down, and we did not rehearse that. It all goes down the conversation. We took over the CTAs on Andy's website, schedule a test drive, and others, get e-price, things like that on his, not his Highline stuff, but his others. And we saw, and Andy's first comment was a comment like you, and we shared this data with Troy and I, and obviously Andy gave permission for us to tell this, but just the convert now flows. Andy said, well, of course, my numbers are going to be higher. You're taking over my CTAs, which you would think. Well, Andy saw when you treat these customers with giving them, as Brian Pass says, when you start serving customers instead of chasing them, he has seen almost on different websites, but between 3 and 4% increase of the use of the CTA.
Right.
So all of this branding, it all comes back to how you talk to that customer. And in fact, we were talking about digital retailing, and everybody's talking about digital retailing till they're blue in the face. So I'm not. And Andy just said this: look, if you guys could just help us communicate with we've got leads coming in from everywhere. Help us communicate better and just engage with 10% more.
Right.
We sell other cars. So again, shout out to Andy Wright. Thank you for being such a good friend, a partner to both Troy and myself. And we're doing some cool stuff there too. Troy, anything you want to add there?
Yeah, other than the fact that you're right, and I'll give him some props, Andy's really just incredibly bright. We're very lucky to work with him and involved in a lot of those conversations about what's going on with the website and the CTAs and with you guys, and just trying to increase all those conversations. It's just a joy to work with, and it's been, quite frankly, it's been kind of fun to work with you on that project, because you and I have been close, so to speak, but not really with a client like that. So right. No, it's been really cool to see. Yeah, no, listen, it's great. One of the things that you and I, our stories are very similar. We've been car people our whole life. And one of the things that I do respect about you, I know you have called me on a Saturday before about a dealership. We've answered the phone. We've got the dealer on the phone. I was in the grocery parking lot, and while Mama was getting the groceries, and I told her to go ahead. I got to talk to Troy, and we got the dealer on the phone, and we worked out the issue. So hey, I'm going to give you a tiny bit of props here real quick on Tim Talks, because you deserve it. I quite frankly don't know of anybody that holds your position with so many dealers that you service that answers the phone so quickly like you do. And that's one of the reasons that, our company has a good relationship with you guys is, I know you care and you do answer the phone. I got to tell you, it's
making me tear up a little bit, Troy.
It impressed me that I call it whatever time, because you know me, right? I'm a 7:30 at night, 8:30 at night, 9:30 at night, Sunday morning, kind of guy, and you just kind of answer, and I'm like, oh, there's Tim. That's awesome.
Yeah, and listen, that's what it is. We're not. We've never claimed to be the brightest. We've never claimed, but it's all about relationships. It's all about serving your dealers. And listen, my dealer friends, ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking for a good marketing partner, please reach out to Troy at Dealer World. I see that Hunter Swift has joined as well. Hello, Hunter. I don't have time to go through the entire list. I know this is going to be shared, and reshared. But I just wanted to thank you for your time. Remember, the pebbles in my shoe is, what are you branding? How are you branding? No one cares how big or old you are, how many cars you have in stock. Number two, the Saturday.
What you can do for them, Tim. I care what you can do for them.
Absolutely. They care. How are you going to make me feel better? Listen, I'm Carl, I'm going back to Kentucky.
Carl, you are from the country, buddy.
That's right. My car has a bunch of miles on it. I'm not even going to tell you how many, but we, we don't drive big fancy cars, but I'm looking for a new car right now. And I got to tell you, I'm specifically looking for a store that I know because I found a few cars.
Hey, your inbox is about to blow up. You know how many dealers are on here? And
I know. I can't, I'm thinking about I already
make them pay, people, make them pay.
I'm thinking about, I've got my name in on the Ford Bronco. Anyway, it's a whole big thing, but I'm saying, there's anxiety when you don't know anybody and you're going into a dealership. And if you can flip the switch, set the tone early on how you communicate with your consumers, it's going to make a huge, huge difference. And again, sales managers, used car managers, GM, if you listen, ask yourself, do I treat these incoming chats, texts, everything else, all these digital leads, do I treat them? Do we love on those customers? Do we serve them instead of chase them like we do the people sitting in our showroom? I guarantee you'll never have to wonder if you're going to hit your objective.
Hey, Tim, let me just expound upon that just 1 second before we call this quits, all right?
Yep.
I did this on stage a while back, and it was one of the only times I got like a round of applause, like a real stand-up round of applause. And it had to do with exactly that, right? What are you laughing about?
I'm laughing because Brian Toole said so much. Brian, I love you. Brian's coming on. By the way, Holly Ann, don't let me ADD out. We got to get Brian on Tim Talks. But yeah. Brian said so much love today. Gee whiz. Okay, enough of the.
On that note,
go ahead.
On that note of the sales manager and you asking them to get more engaged, I liken it like this. Great analogy. You started in '89, I started in '87, so we're old guys, whatever. But what happened back in those days when we had a salesman go out on the lot, or not, even worse, didn't go out on the lot, missed a customer, missed an up. What happened? And I'm in front of like 300 people one day, and I asked that question, and everybody goes, "You're fired, right? You're fired."
Yeah.
What happens if he goes out on the lot, comes back in, and doesn't have the customer with him? Well, where's your customer? What happened to your customer? The second that we have a physical body in front of us, we go into that natural mode that I'm talking about. We're just hunter-gatherers at that moment. And we're like, hey, we're going to make this deal. He's here right now. He's not leaving without a car. But that same guy 20 years later has the ability to open a chat. It's the same guy with the same money trying to spend that very real money with your very real business on a very real product that pays our very real bills, right? And we sit back and then walk into the office and go, hey, how many appointments today, right? How many appointments do we get today? We've got to just kind of push that forward. And look, Andy's done a great job of it, not to give, too much, props there but I've seen it and I've watched it and it's amazing. He works that BDC like crazy. And, we've got some other shared clients that do the same thing. When you start treating that guy on the other end of that chat or the phone call or the text or anything like a real human being that wants to spend $65,000 on that truck out front, just like you did back when he walked through the door, you're going to sell more cars. You're just going to. So all you got to do as a marketing manager, and my closing for this, Tim, is start more conversations with customers. That's what our job is. Start more of those conversations.
And for an exercise, call a competing dealer and ask if a car is available. Ask if a car is there. I have done that because I'm in the market for a car right now.
Right.
And it's a horrible experience. So that's a whole other conversation. Listen, Troy, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Brian Toole, thank you for keeping me in check about the Love Fest. Look, man, the world needs love. The Beatles wrote about it a long time ago. That's especially what we need now. So again, please do yourself a favor. If you need some help, reach out. Troy, how do they get a hold of you? How do they get a hold of Dealer World if somebody is interested? I know this is going to be shared and reshared. There you go, mydealerworld.com.
Yeah, there's a contact form there, or if anybody, is listening, or, I'll say it slow, they could just text me or call me on my cell. I'm 24/7, as you know, 610-570-3022. just call me, text me, whatever. And again, it doesn't have to be about doing business. It could be about a question or help. Like I said, that's what we're all about first and foremost is helping dealers, and especially in these times, like you said, right? I mean,
by the way, we need to get that contact form off your website. Carnell can help you with that. I'll give it to you for free. Don't worry about it.
I love it.
We'll automate the entire process.
I love it.
You just got it handled.
Well, we got a new website coming up in about 2 weeks, so we'll institute that when we do that, buddy.
Awesome. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time this week. Thank you again, Troy.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for the time. I know, quite frankly, Troy called earlier. There's a hurricane coming through, a tropical storm, and lights are flickering on back and forth. But you took the time to meet.
I got the boots on.
You're ready to go.
My shirt's all half wet.
Awesome.
You know, I was at home mitigating some flooding, but I came in for.
I hope your house is safe. Listen, as we always say, no one is smarter than everyone. And listen, every Tuesday at 2, we're all going to try to get better together. Thank you guys so much. God bless. We'll see you next week.
Take care.